Could a person actually become invisible? And, if they could, what would they even do with that kind of power? All right, let's jump into this classic H.G. Wells story. It kicks off not with some big scientific reveal, but with a simple, completely baffling mystery on a London street. So it all starts with these two young boys. They just stop dead in their tracks, staring at this bizarre sight. Fresh, muddy footprints from bare feet appearing on the steps of a house. Now, this is the middle of a London winter, so that's weird enough. But the real head-scratcher was, where was the person making them?
And then something impossible happens. As they're just standing there staring, another footprint materializes right before their eyes. I mean, from absolutely nothing. Can you imagine the shock? The mud squishes, the print forms, but there is no one there.
And this phantom trail just keeps going, right down the street. The boys, totally fascinated at this point, start following this invisible walker. And what's so great here is how the mystery just gets deeper and deeper with every single step, until finally, the muddy prints just fade away, leaving the boys and, well, us, with a massive question mark.
So what in the world was going on? Well, the explanation, as it turns out, wasn't anything supernatural. It was science. And it all centers on one brilliant and, let's just say, deeply flawed man.
Meet Griffin. After doing who knows how many experiments, he finally did it. He achieved the impossible. He swallows this cocktail of drugs and poof, his body becomes totally transparent. He's still solid. You can touch him, but you can't see him. It's a massive discovery for sure, but it came with a really high and pretty dangerous price tag for his own humanity.
And this is really where the story gets messy. It shows you the core conflict right here. Because on one hand, yeah, Griffin is an absolutely brilliant scientist. He pushed the limits of what was thought possible. But on the other hand, he's a lawless, angry guy. When his landlord tried to kick him out, Griffin didn't try to reason with him. Nope, he went straight to revenge.
In a total fit of rage, he just sets the house on fire. But here's the catch. To get away without anyone seeing him, he has to be completely naked, right? Because clothes, of course, are still visible. So his very first act with this incredible power isn't for something amazing. It's an act of malice. And it immediately turns him into a homeless, freezing wanderer in the bitter cold.
So this leads to this giant paradox. His invisibility is his ticket to freedom, but it's also a trap. To survive the freezing cold, he needs clothes. But if he wears clothes, people will see him. So let's see how this whole thing plays out.
Desperate for warmth, he slips into a big department store. After it closes, he helps himself to some food, a little wine, and most importantly, clothes. With shoes, an overcoat, and a nice big hat, he actually becomes a visible person again. He even finds a stack of quilts and just crashes for the night.
But he oversleeps. The next morning, the store assistants show up. They spot him, and he totally panics. The only way he can escape is to do the one thing he was trying to avoid, rip off all his new clothes. And just like that, he's invisible again, but he's also naked in the freezing January air. For all his genius, he forgot about a simple alarm clock. Okay, so his next plan is a bit more elaborate. He finds a theatrical supply shop. This time, he has to hide the empty space where his head should be. So he creates this frankly terrifying look. Bandages all over his head, dark glasses, a fake nose, these huge whiskers, and a big hat. And to get away, he attacks the shopkeeper and robs him. At this point, he's not just a victim anymore. He's actively choosing to be a criminal. So Griffin is eager to get out of crowded London. He takes a train to the quiet little village of Iping, but his bizarre appearance and his really aggressive need to be left alone immediately make him the talk of the town, and it just sets the stage for total chaos.
Pretty soon after his stolen money runs out, something really strange happens that unnerves the whole village. The local clergyman hears money being taken from his desk. He bursts into the room, poker in hand, ready for a fight, only to find nothing. The room is completely empty. But the money, it's gone. The villagers are baffled and, honestly, pretty scared.
But that is nothing compared to what happens next at the inn. The innkeeper, Mrs. Hall, finds Griffin's door open and decides to have a look. She and her husband go into the empty room, and suddenly, the furniture seems to have a mind of its own. It starts with a sniff right next to her ear. Then the hat on the bedpost flies right at her face. And then the bedroom chair itself comes alive.
I mean, can you even picture the terror? A chair just lifts off the ground and charges straight at them, legs first, pushing them out of the room before slamming the door shut and locking it. Mrs. Hall is hysterical. She's convinced her inn is haunted by spirits and that this strange scientist has something to do with it.
The suspicion, the stolen money, the flying furniture, it all comes to a head in one final, absolutely shocking confrontation. So when Mrs. Hall finally confronts him, Griffin, who's always had a short fuse, just loses it. He becomes absolutely furious. He screams this warning at her, basically deciding that the only way to make them understand is to show them the unbelievable truth he's been hiding all this time. And then he does it. He rips off the bandages, the whiskers, the glasses, the fake nose. It takes him less than a minute. And the horrified people in the bar, they suddenly find themselves staring at the impossible, a man wearing a coat and a shirt, but with no head. Just then, the village constable shows up, and he's got this absurd job of arresting a headless man. A brawl breaks out, but really, how do you fight someone you can't even see? As Griffin throws off more and more clothes, he becomes more and more invisible, until he just escapes, leaving nothing but chaos and terror behind. And all of this leaves us with the story's really powerful central question. Griffin achieved a scientific miracle, but in doing so, he became a monster. It really makes you ask, where's the line between genius and responsibility? Does a great mind get to operate outside the law? It's a question that echoes all the way from this classic story right into our modern world of crazy technological advancements. And that's the real challenge at the heart of this incredible tale.